What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Bronx Pinstripes show. Brooms, baby, brooms. Yet again, what was that? Their seventh sweep of the year, I believe. Scott.
I was gonna say these brooms are getting a workout. The Cubs suck. Cubs suck. They are really bad. After Friday night, the magic of Jose Trevino. My God, was that an easy series? These are the types of series where you're like, okay, game's on, watching it. But also, it's definitely on in the background because they're destroying them. And today was, another one of those. The Cubs just suck. They're just a bad team. They're a really bad team. I didn't realize how bad they were until this weekend. They're bad.
It might say Cubs on the logo, which is a premier matchup, but not a premier quality team. Even Logan, who was at the Friday night game, which was by far the best game to go to, said that the stadium felt a little dead, like there wasn't a buzz, which you'd figure, like, Cubs in town, there's probably a lot of Chicago transplants that would maybe travel up to the Bronx to watch the Cubs. Logan saying there were a lot of Cubs fans there, but like he said he didn't have that buzz in the stadium.
Well, it's also, it's a low scoring game the entire time. You need some opportunities there to get the energy up, and I bet it was. I don't even know how many people. Logan, how many people were there? Did it stay relatively full? I don't remember what the crowd looked like at the end of the game for Trevino.
It just kept every extra inning. It just kept dwindling freely down and freely down.
Which is sad. Down. Which is sad considering it's a tight game at that point. Like there's, especially you're in extra innings. That should not happen. That should not happen. But 14 innings, Trevino. He's fun, man. He's a lot of fun. Definitely getting the vote for the All-Star game. I'm mad that I even mentioned Kirk at this point, but Trevino has to be the guy. He's got to.
The legend keeps growing. Pinch hit, walk-off single. It was his son's birthday, so whenever there's like something meaningful in the family, he's gonna come through in the clutch. And then he hit the home run on Saturday as well. And it's just like, holy crap, this guy keeps going. He doesn't stop. Unfortunately, he was sidelined on Sunday with a sore back. But I'm hoping whatever they have to do, massage, get one of those Terra guns or something, get that man loose for Tuesday against the Rays, please.
Hey, you know what? It gave the opportunity for Higgy to maybe start getting a little right here. Couple finally gets the first knock, follows another one
You
up.
need him to crank 24 more?
Yeah. Hey. He could get hot. He's got to play, though. He might not have enough playing time. But, it's good. It allowed him to do it. They had a nice little celebration, the two of them. So, they have a good camaraderie. It's the backup catcher camaraderie. They're both backup catchers, and they're both vying, Trevino's definitely the guy right now, and Higgy's now got to play leapfrog a little bit. That's his job.
Higgy has been used to being the backup catcher his entire life. So I know you say they have two backup catchers, but whatever logic says there can only be one backup catcher. Someone has to be the quote unquote starter, and it is Trevino. As we're saying, the man's gonna make the freaking All-Star team. Okay, if you make the All-Star team, you're the team's starting catcher.
Yeah, I mean, at this point, it's hard to deny what the guy is. He's been so damn good, and such a great story. So, well deserved. But I'm glad that Higgy finally got on the positive side of the home run count, because that was a struggle, especially after I think he wasted them all in spring training and pulled the Greg Bird, and then just completely forgot how to do it in the regular season. But no longer is the elephant on his shoulder. He is now a free man. And he can swing.
Yeah, it could have been a mental thing. Could be a mental thing with him. And like, we have seen him hit a ton of home runs in a short period of time. So, if a week and a half from now he's sitting with 5 home runs, none of us are going to be shocked. But still, don't expect him to be like an offensive force, which is fine. Again, it's fine. But his OPS was under 400 coming in today. That's not acceptable. Under 400 OPS is not acceptable.
That's okay. You know what he does? He blocks the ball. He calls a good game.
Frames, blocks. Although he's not an elite framer. He's middle of the pack for framing.
Great. But you know what he does is he handles the rotation well, as a good backup catcher needs to. Handle the rotation well. There's a rapport there with everybody on the team, and he's a plus defender. Both of them are, which is a good thing for this team. And that's it. Bottom line, that's it. If their offense comes, outstanding. But if it doesn't, play defense and do it well.
The pitching was just outstanding on Friday, and fine, the Cubs suck, so whatever. But you got lights out performance from the bullpen after Severino struck out 10 in 6 innings. You got 7 innings of no-run, 2-hit ball from the bullpen, combining with Castro, King, Holmes, Schmidt, Peralta, and Maraschino Cherry. That's just an elite performance out of the bullpen to allow them to win that game. It took 13 innings. Doesn't usually take 13 innings when you got the fake runner on second base, but the bullpen got it done. The radar gun also
was hot.
Was doing something funky, because Logan texted us that picture. He's like, "Is this real?" He's got a bunch of 104 mile an hour like messages about about Holmes. They got Schmidt clocking at 101.
That ain't
Something
bro.
Someone cranked up the juice a couple notches.
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, Clay Holmes was at 103. I mean, that, my God, if you're throwing a 103 mile an hour sinker, you have a fake arm. That's not a real arm.
You've defied physics.
Yeah, that doesn't even happen. You can't do that. It's physically not possible. So,
but like, what he was throwing 99, 90.
Okay.
Like if okay, what do you say? Okay, you say
I'm saying
okay,
we've
like
seen
that's
that.
not
103 is just like another notch up that nobody has. Not.
Yeah, that was Chapman could only touch 103 for the longest time, and then everyone started to be able to. Not everyone, but a few guys were able to clock at 101, 102, 103. But yeah, I don't know what was happening.
You're throwing a two-seam or sinker, whatever you're calling it, at that hot. I mean, there's something crazy going on here. So yeah, I mean, as soon as you saw that Clark Schmidt was throwing 101, you're like, okay, this thing is hot. This thing is hot tonight. Someone's got turned it up a little bit before the game and forgot to turn it back down. They're playing a joke on us. I got it.
So on the broadcast, they were talking about how that can be a little confidence boost to the pitcher. Like, even if in the back of his mind, he knows I'm not really throwing 101, 102. But could it also be a little bit of a mind F for the hitter, being like, wait, this guy's throwing 101 with movement? I'm fucked.
It's that time. If you go to the doctor and they give you a favorable measurement, that's it. You lock it in.
Height-wise?
You lock it in. You lock it in for the rest of your life. That's it.
Yes.
If the doctor did that, then you lock it in. Same thing here.
That's why you say you're 6 feet tall.
It's exactly why I say I'm 6 feet tall, because the doctor told me I was 6 feet tall. So that's exactly what I am.
Wearing Timberlands one day at the doctor.
No, flat-footed. Barefoot, flat foot, 6 foot. There you go. And that's it. Lock it in. Lock it in. It's on my driver's license.
You had a really good posture day.
It's on my driver's license. You can't tell me different.
Yeah, my sister's fiance also, his driver's license says he's female, so don't trust driver's licenses.
Well, to each their
own. And then the home run bats came out on Saturday. I felt bad for that rookie pitcher for the Cubs, man. Like, giving up 6 dingers, and I know they were trying to leave him out there to save the bullpen a little bit, which didn't happen, and then extra didn't happen on Sunday when their starter got knocked out early as well. But I tweeted out, how do you leave a kid out there to give up 6 home runs? Like, that's just a confidence crusher. That is in his, what was it, his 3rd major league, 4th major league start, something like that. And then people being like, well, they left Cole out there to give up 5 on Thursday. It's not the same, okay? You're Garrett Cole. You stay out there and nut up, try and battle through no matter what you give up. I'm saying don't give up a kid in his first handful of starts and let him give up 6.
At the same time, you look at what your roster looks like, and there's not a lot of saving graces there. So you kind of have to let people go through their pain a little bit. It's a learning lesson. If the kid can handle giving up 6 and bounce back, that says something, doesn't it? And to me, you look at this roster.
Back his next start.
You look at this roster, and clearly, they got rid of everybody from their 16 championship. Rizzo's like, thank God I got the hell out of there.
Except Hayward.
After seeing these, except for Hayward, who I forgot was playing baseball still.
Hayward's still chugging along on that massive contract. Although everyone has said he gave that amazing pump-up speech. So you know what? If he truly gave that pump-up speech and it caused them to turn that around, worth it for a contract.
Oh, no doubt. He's a plus defender, or he has been in the past. I don't know if he still is, but I completely forgot about Jason Hayward until I saw him. I'm like, oh my
sure.
God.
Why would
Jason
you remember
Hayward,
about him?
Still in the league, still playing baseball. Definitely forgot about you. But yeah, you look at this roster; they're in full rebuilding mode. They might even be like before rebuilding mode. It's at that point. They're not even at a point where they can be loading up the major leagues with anybody that's talented enough to be there. So you're gonna take your lumps. You have to. They're in a position where it's either the starting pitching's giving him up or you going into the bullpen, and it's going to be a bigger problem. So I get it.
They'll be moving some pieces at the deadline. Like David
no
Robertson's going to get moved. Like, I don't know.
I'd take him back in a heartbeat.
D-Rob back.
Yeah.
Like, why not? He's going to come up in big spots and he's going to be a good teammate.
Look, I tweeted it when did he pitch? Was that Friday night? It was Friday night. And
yes.
I was like, it seems like the easiest move possible out there.
Don't even let him get on the plane. Just come over. Just just walk across.
Cashman has a relationship with Chicago. There's been business that's happened there. They've made moves, and I understand there's people have changed in the front office, but at the same time, this is a match made in heaven. David Robertson is 1,000% going to be dealt to a contender. There's no doubt about it. Like that's happening. So I want a guy, and Kirby was coming back at me a little bit on Twitter. Looking at don't go back and go into the past with some of our old guys. To me, it's not. I understand when people say that. That's like Greg Bird coming up and trying to think that he's going to do anything in the major leagues because he's in AAA right now. No, but David Robertson, who got Tommy John surgery, which gave him more life on that arm, he's 36, 37. I think he's 37, but he still could pitch. He can still pitch. And you know damn well that he is big enough for all of the moments in Yankee Stadium and in the playoffs. He's not, and it very well could be where he's not a 7, 8, or 9 inning guy. Like David Robertson in the 6th inning. David Robertson
he'll pitch the 3rd inning, as we know.
Right. So
no,
absolutely.
I totally disagree with Nick on that. You don't go back into your past. You don't go back into your past on guys that didn't work out and then went somewhere else, started to play better, and then you're like, okay, let's take him back. Like Javier Vazquez, prime example, number 1. He sucked with the Yankees, left, was good. Cashman took another chance on him, and it was a disaster. Okay, no, you don't do that kind of move. But David Robertson has been nothing but awesome for the Yankees, so you bring him back if you can get him.
Yeah, I agree, and I think he's got a $3 million deal, 1 year, $3 million deal with the Cubs. So
half a season at $1.5 million
for this year's roster, and then you look at what it's going to take to get him. A couple low A prospects, maybe 1 to 2 low A prospects. Nothing. It's not going to be. That will never in a million years sniff any major league roster. That's what it will take to get him. So yes, you go get him.
And it's insurance for you don't know what Loaizaga, Chapman are going to be for the rest of the year.
Right.
I love Clay Holmes. He looks filthy, but you don't know that he's going to be this unhittable force for the rest of the year. It's insurance in your bullpen on a guy that if you need to save a game, you can trust.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not going to sit here and live in the scenario where Clay Holmes is not going to be good. He's going to be good, but at the same time,
it's insurance.
You need more bullpen arms. It's already clear that they're going to need more bullpen arms. It's going to be, if Cashman's not on the phones already, it's definitely happening. They need more arms in that pen with the guys that have got hurt and Chad Green out as well. Like, yeah, of course you need more, and right. He's a known quantity.
Yeah, they might also deal Happ at the deadline. That could be another interesting piece. You know who's not playing for the Cubs anymore? Clint Frazier.
My gosh.
Amazing Friday for
Wow.
Clint Frazier. First thing in the morning, we get the New York Post article that he's bashing the Yankees, saying I couldn't be myself. I didn't like that they had to tell me how to cut my hair, and I wasn't for them. I couldn't say anything. Just doing the tour de force of let's bash the Yankees as I'm coming back through town. Then we get some DMs on the sly from people he's promising tickets to that night. And then not even first pitch, boom, you're DFA'd, buddy. Hilarious. Hilarious timing. So ironic. Top-notch comedy.
This kid cannot get out of his own goddamn way. I mean, he really can't.
Just shut up, dude.
Just shut up.
Shut up.
Just stop talking. I mean, just full stop. Stop talking. He's complimenting how the Cubs and how the dugout and the clubhouse has really come around, and then they just get rid of him immediately. I mean,
he's not even a league average hitter this year. Like you're not performing, so your play is not going to keep you on the team. You need to shut up and be a good old boy.
He's he's continuously putting his foot in his mouth. I mean, he constantly just shut up and play baseball.
He always will. He always will.
Yeah, it's a shame too, because he's got all that. He does have a bunch of talent. He's not been able to show it. I know he's had kind of a raw deal with some injuries and obviously the whole concussion thing as well. But at the same time, like, you know, I had some sympathy for him. It's definitely running out, you know, for the way that he talks, and then now karma just comes back and bites you right in the ass, and you don't even get to suit up. It was perfect.
That's that. Yeah, and the Cubs are probably sitting there like, we were already trying to figure out what to do with you because you weren't playing, and you just go and say something stupid like, this is not worth it. Like, be smart, grow up, show you have some maturity one time for me.
He needs to get picked up by Oakland and just try to
Why Oakland?
Put his career back in place in Oakland. There's no other place.
Why Oakland?
Because nobody cares.
There's plenty of places nobody cares.
Yeah, but that's one really nobody cares. He should. That's where he needs to go. He needs to go to Oakland and try to just play baseball. Nobody's gonna listen. Nobody's gonna care. Nobody's gonna ask him hard questions. Nobody cares. So you go there, and you just try to play baseball and try to get that back. And if you can, continue to shut up, and then see if it helps you out any further. But first and foremost, stop talking.
To the very end, I was not a Clint Frazier hater. I felt bad about the concussions that probably robbed him of his best chance to be a starter for the Yankees. But it's hard. He's hard to defend at this point.
He's really hard to defend at this point.
Not that anyone's trying to defend him, but if I even was trying to defend him, it's impossible. So I pulled some Montgomery stats. He pitched well on Saturday, 7 shutout innings. His Statcast numbers are kind of weird. So he's got a 2.70 ERA on the season, but a 3.80 expected ERA. His expected ERA is middle of the pack of the league. It's exactly 50th percentile, but it is over a run worse than his actual ERA, which would indicate that he's been lucky in instances to have that 2.7 ERA, because 2.7 ERA is, that's an elite starting pitcher, where 3.8 ERA is solid. It's solid. It's especially in today's game, nothing spectacular. But so I was trying to figure out, like, why is his expected numbers worse than his actual numbers? And the thing that I can kind of come up with is that his expected batting average is pretty bad, which would indicate he's probably given up some hard hit contact that his defense has picked him up on. Although his average exit velocity and his hard hit percentage is not terrible. His expected weighted on base average and expected slugging also isn't terrible. So I'm kind of baffled by these numbers. The one thing that's clear, though, he doesn't walk anyone. He's near the top in the league. So even when he does give up hits, it doesn't come back to bite him in the ass, which I think is another reason why his actual ERA is pretty good. It's really good.
It's really good. In fact, there are 5 starters on the Yankees in the Yankees rotation, as in most teams, and 4 of them are sub 3 ERA. The only person that's over 3 is Garrett Cole. So you look at what he's doing and whether the expected his expected ERA is higher. And I think you're right. I think it's the free passes. It's the if he's given up a hit, I assume that hurts him in the expected ERA. But he's just not letting him. He's not beating himself. He's He's throwing the ball over the plate. And I wouldn't be surprised if you looked it up. I don't even know what stat you would look at this per start, but Yankees are probably playing good defense behind him too, which certainly helps it.
So I forgot. I meant to pull his FIP, and I'm going to pull that right now to see what his fielder independent ERA is. 3.45, which would indicate a similar thing as his expected ERA, that independent of fielders, he should be giving up more runs. But like, none of these numbers are bad. Like, let's also remember that it's not like his FIP and his expected ERA are in the 4s or 5s. Yeah, what's up, Logan?
So I'm just trying to make something out of these numbers too. So he's throwing his sinker about 15% more than he has in years past. And obviously, like, what does that matter? Well, the Yankees are second in fielding percentage. Like, their defense is like top 3 in baseball. So obviously, a lot of think he's going to put the ball in play and you have good defense behind you. That could have something to do with all those luck, but they're not really luck because the defense is just playing so well.
It's not luck. Yeah, it's just a consideration.
It's not luck.
It's just a good defense. So you know what? If I have a good defense behind me, and I could throw a sinker that's going to get hit on the ground, but more contact, good. That's a faster inning. That's a way to control your pitch count. It's playing to your team's advantage. I would take that over the strikeout because of how efficient it is.
His average exit velocity is 70th percentile, and his hard hit percentage is 77th percentile, and his barrel percentage is 80th percentile. Those are all good numbers for a pitcher, okay, in the context of a pitcher. If all of those numbers were bad, then I would say he's getting lucky because the hard hit balls are maybe just being hit at people and they're getting fielded. But if you're not giving up a ton of hard hit contact, then you're not getting lucky. Like, you're supposed to get a soft ground ball and your infield is supposed to field it.
So that's the understood piece of that, right? Is that pitchers are lucky if their defense is playing more of a role in their outcome, whereas
yes, but I always understood it to be that if you're not giving up hard contact and your fielders are not making like tremendous plays, because remember, this is all StatCast data, so not only the ball is being tracked, but also the position player is being tracked and the base runner is being tracked by StatCast. So it's all of those variables into should that have been a hit or should that not have been a hit.
Right. But at the same time, whether guys that put allow the ball to be put in play more often probably have a higher expected ERA than their actual ERA in most cases.
Yes, because the more people you strike out, that just takes any variables out of it.
Right. So again, to my point is that the guys that pitch more to contact, you will not see that correlation as much unless the barrel percentage is high, or like you're mentioning, some of these indicators of the ball's being hit hard. So that's great. I love that. And to me, that's a sign of a guy that's going to go be able to go deeper into games as the season goes on too, which is exactly what we need of him. So I love that. Let the play to contact, pitch to contact, let your defense do their job.
Yeah, the league has just gone so strikeout dependent for pitchers, and I think it was sort of because that's what teams and coaches and even pitchers understood in the playoffs, and then they were like, okay, well, let's just boil that over to the regular season. And we understand that a starting pitcher can't do that over the course of 6+ innings over the course of 30 starts, but we don't need him to. We just need him to go 5 innings, and then the bullpen's going to do that for 4. So I feel like the league got completely shifted. And then, so there's so many players in the league that are just so many strikeouts, and those, as I said, you take any variables of your fielding out of it, and Montgomery is a little bit of a bucking that trend.
I'd say I wouldn't be surprised if you looked up and down our rotation, minus Cole and maybe Severino.
No, Severino is also high strike. I mean,
Cortez, Montgomery, Taillon.
Taillon before the last 2 games though. Taillon was a lot of strikeouts, not a lot of walks. His last 2 starts, obviously we already talked about the one in Minnesota. Today's start though, I kind of give him a mulligan. That's a blowout. The Yankees are blowing them out. They scored a ton of runs early, and he's just in cruise control. And then he got into trouble in the 5th, and obviously Boone was like, okay, you're getting this W, and then just get out of there.
Right, exactly. No, to me, when you have a guy in a game like this where the offense is going really well, you're just really pitching over the plate. You're throwing the ball over the plate, pitching to contact, let your defense play, and hope you can get out of there. So he's not probably being as particular with his pitches, and I think even the way that the Higgy and Taillon are calling the game at that point changes as well. So you're just trying to be efficient.
Yeah. No, yeah, it was a big offensive outburst early. Gallo actually came up in a big spot there to get that double with 2 outs.
He's been hitting the last week and a half. He's been hitting. I can't kill him.
Yeah, but he's come up with bases loaded in a few different instances over the past week, and he's done nothing. And I was like, okay, he's going to try and hit a grand slam again because that's all he can try and do. But I don't know. He put a good swing on it. Like, credit where credit's due.
Hey, I hope he makes me look like a complete jackass, calling for his head. If he can improve, then great. He just never has shown that he can change his style of play. And if he's able to do that, he's closed his stance a little bit. He's definitely been putting more he's still striking out a ton, and he will always strike out a ton. But he's definitely been making more contact and being having more effective at bats recently.
So, what do the Yankees do with Matt Carpenter? because all the man does is hit bombs. Okay, 2 more home runs today. It's actually comical how many home runs he has in so little playing time.
I love the fact that he doesn't use batting gloves. He just literally picks up dirt.
He probably pisses on his hands.
He probably does piss on his hands, which I love it. I love how old school he is and feels. What do they do with him? They do exactly what they're doing. Because everybody's playing well. You could see him he played third base today. You could see him cutting into Donaldson's time maybe, but this is a good thing. They don't need to do anything different, in my opinion. You know what he's doing really well? He's stepping in when his name is called and not letting long periods of time where he's not playing affect what he does when he's in the game. And that's not something that everybody can do. So if you're able to do that,
that's a really good,
and you're able to plug him in at different moments, hell yeah, that's a great asset for the team.
That's a really good point. Not everyone can do that role. Some guys are awful in that role, but if he can be a player that can only get a few at bats a week and still be an impact, that's massive. Carpenter is one of those guys that I would love if he could stick on this team, because I feel like he's someone that could come up big in the playoffs, right? And then he's always a guy that we love, the mustache, and we always talk about it, and he's invited back to Old Timers Day, and it's a whole big thing. I don't know if he's going to be able to ride the roster for the rest of the season. That's the only thing. I like that they got him at third base today, because that provides more value other than just pinch hitting and DHing every now and again. Like, they don't need that. But if he can play the field and be a possible piece that you only have to play once or even get 5 at-bats a week, and he's going to do something, he's going to hit a home run, or he's going to get a good walk in a big spot, that's huge value.
He's valuable. What did they end up paying him? I don't remember what the contract was, but Logan, can you check that out real quick? Just I'm curious as to
I don't think it was anything.
Was this something? But so Marwin Gonzalez is the guy that you look at, but the problem is that Marwin Gonzalez is the only other guy that can play shortstop right now too. So unless you're moving Glaber over for a spot here,
don't mess with Glaber. Glaber's been good.
I know. I don't want to mess with him either, but that's a big roster spot for Marwin Gonzalez as the only guy that can play backup if Carpenter's coming in and playing this role that Marwin Gonzalez essentially was doing anyway. They're very much they're two of the same, except for the shortstop position.
You're right. Ideally, Marwin Gonzalez produces offensively like Carpenter has been producing, and then you don't need Carpenter, and you just have a guy who can play shortstop and some other positions on the field. I also don't know what their longer term plans are with the outfield, if they're going to acquire someone at the deadline, or if they're just hoping, hey, maybe Hicks and Gallo are playing better and we ride that, and then they might need LeCastro back because they'll value that defense and pinch running over anything Matt Carpenter can provide you. So that's why, again, I like the idea of Matt Carpenter. I just don't know if he can stick on this roster.
I hope so.
They're paying him $1 million.
$1 million. I mean, that's not nothing. That's not nothing. You're not going to just pay $1 million and then, I mean, that's exactly what you'd essentially be paying Robertson for half of the year. So that's not nothing. I'd say that's enough to definitely warrant him being on this team, or them really making it a tough decision for the Yankees to drop him. I don't think that's going to happen. I mean, he's doing exactly what they want him to do. He is there. It is house money, total house money with the way that he's playing right now. I mean, he's turning back the clock the way he's playing right now. And if you can have a guy like Matt Carpenter who's hitting like he used to hit, I mean, geez, you're getting a damn good baseball player out of absolutely nowhere. So another solid move by Brian Cashman.
Yeah, I guess a solid flyer. I mean, that's a lotto ticket. That's whatever.
They had scouts in Texas,
the scouts, yes.
Well, someone was watching him play in AAA and identified that he was looking much better at the plate and put a flyer.
Why'd he get released then?
Again, $1 million is not nothing. $1 million to for a guy like him that is that flyer. That's not nothing.
Yeah. But as we wrap up the recap of the weekend here, you want to talk about Carlos Beltran?
Not really. I don't want to talk. I think that I think that he's bad in the booth. He's got nothing to say. I mean, I was saying this. If we're looking at the two newer guys, Maben and Beltran, at least Maben is doing his homework and like trying to bring something extra. Beltran just brings nothing. He really is just like literally saying what he sees in front of him and adding no commentary on top of it.
That's probably what they told him you need to do.
When he told me today that the error, it's an error, it's going to really hurt your team. Thanks, Carlos. I really appreciate you telling me that. It's a big error.
Maybe some people don't know.
Kemp knows. Kemp's like, oh, that's not good. Yeah, he's 4. So I said he treats us like 5-year-olds. Maybe it's 4-year-old. Because what Beltran says is just like every common statement possible. There's nothing that it's extra. It's starting to drive me a little nuts. I don't want to hear you talk about that. Michael Kay is doing everything in the book, carrying it.
That's the worst part of the broadcast is that Michael Kay is trying so desperately hard to get him involved and to tee him up and to ask him
and
questions.
He's not doing
it's just like, it's just, and I'm just like, oh my,
Mike,
just stop. I'm not blaming Kay, but it's just like that repetition over and over and over again is just painful to listen to. So Kay, just stop doing it. Just call the game. And then whenever he chimes in. It's fine.
It's not fine. He needs to get better. Someone needs to coach it. Someone needs to coach Carlos Beltran on how to be a broadcaster much better than that's happening right now. Because at least Maben, I saw improvement with Maben. I'm not seeing any improvement with Carlos Beltran. It's driving me a little nuts. This is nitpicking. This is what happens when you have the best record in baseball and you're looking to complain about something. You start complaining about the booth.
Well, because Cone has to do more national stuff. He's doing ESPN. It's like we're getting less Cone. We're getting a little less O'Neill. We're getting these other guys who just aren't close to as good. They're not, and the broadcasters aren't as comfortable with them. It's just, it's pretty obvious whenever Maben or Beltran are in the booth. It's awkward.
I don't think it's awkward when Maben's
even
there,
Ruocco and Flaherty in Minnesota, miles better than this weekend with Kay and Beltran.
Oh, it's not even close. I totally agree. I mean, whether you like Flaherty or not,
but people hate Flaherty. People are like, "Oh, Flaherty's so boring. He's so dry." It was coherent thoughts. It was coherent baseball talk. Okay, a big series this week in a tough stretch of games for the Yankees. They're playing Tampa, and we're gonna look at the matchups, try and throw some cash down. We're gonna do it with WinBet, which is now live in Arizona, Colorado, Indiana, Louisiana, Michigan, New Jersey, New York, Tennessee, and Virginia. They bring the excitement of the Wynn Las Vegas to online sports betting and casino play. From boosted same-game parlays to live in-game odds on every major sport, WinBet has what you need. Sign up today to receive a special offer. You can bet $50 and win $200 with our code XBlueWire. All right, we got Cole versus Kluber, which I think was the matchup. Was that the matchup as well the last time around? So I guess everyone's on the same rotation here. Cortez and McClanahan, and Sevy and Rossman. What are you thinking, Scott, for this? Cole has to bounce back. And I mean, I've shit on Cole for certain things, but after that performance, after you go 5 bombs, you have to bounce back. This is a big game. You're starting the series against Tampa. You have to bounce back if you're Cole.
Yeah, absolutely. You have to. This guy, this is exactly why he's here against these big series with Tampa. So it's written perfectly for him to bounce back and just make it known that the fact that he gave up that little blip on the radar was nothing indicative of what he is. So he's got to come back and shove. There's no doubt. He's got so much more pressure on him now too, with the rest of this rotation going the way that they are. He really does. He has and I don't know how that affects him.
You think it's more pressure? More pressure that everyone else is pitching well.
I do.
Versus if he was the only one and every time out he had to pitch 7 innings or else.
Yeah, you know why? Because that's expected. You're that was exactly what he's supposed to do. But now everybody else is good, so now the bar is much higher for everybody. Therefore, the bar for him is even higher. So yeah, I think expectations are in a very strange place for Garrett Cole right now because of the way that everybody else is pitching.
Do you think that's good or bad for him?
I don't know. if he doesn't react the way that I think that sometimes we've talked about him not reacting. If that becomes a thing, then it's not great for him. But he should use it as a level up opportunity because that's what everybody else is doing.
Right? You want your ace, or really any pitcher, to feed off that momentum from your other starting pitchers. And it's kind of like a club that they're in, and they're all discussing, and they're all getting better, and they're all rooting each other on. But do you think Cole's one of those guys that would prefer it if he's the only one?
I hope not, because if that's the case, then we got a player that's and I don't think so. I'm not even going to go down that rabbit hole because you see him in the dugout when other guys are going, and he's constantly, giving them feedback. He's constantly talking to them. He's constantly celebrating other people's wins. So I don't think it's the case, but I would the expectations are definitely they're in a strange spot for him. They're in a strange spot for him because he probably feels like he has to be perfect every time he's out there, and I think that's potentially messing with him a little bit.
Some of the Yankees have some damn good numbers off of Corey Kluber. Donaldson is 10 for 29 with two home runs. Marwin Gonzalez is 11 for 24. Marwin Gonzalez, what the hell? Anthony Rizzo 3 for 10. Carpenter 2 for 7. I don't know if Carpenter's going to play again. Judge has not had good success off of Kluber, and neither has Hicks. And I noticed you didn't put Gallo in here, so I guess he is not 1 for 12 with a home run off of. Oh wait, Kluber, you said he is.
He is. I didn't put it in. He is 2 for 12 with a home run, as he always is.
Classic Gallo. All right, so we're picking the game of Cole versus Kluber. Tampa's coming to the Bronx, and got to bet on that one. Nestor also looking for a bounce back. Severino had a good start last time out. Not much from the Yankees off of Rossman. And McClanahan's just been filthy. He's been tough to hit. So I'm not loving that Cortez McClanahan game. I do like Sevy, and I do like Cole in this game. The other thing I want to talk about as we're discussing some money betting and looking up on WinBet, World Series and pennant odds, because we talked about this at the start of the year. The Yankees were not favored for the pennant. I don't remember their exact odds. It was something like 700 or 1,200. So anyway, right now for the American League pennant, the Yankees are plus 230, and for the World Series, they're plus 550. The Dodgers have the best World Series odds right now at plus 425. Do you think it's you agree with that?
I mean, the pennant odds are pretty crazy how high they've gotten. So I mean, obviously, Vegas likes and thinks
best record in baseball.
What's that?
Best record in baseball. On pace. They kept talking about it today. On pace for 119 wins. You bet your ass they're the.
But
the
Vegas believes
it.
Pennant. Vegas believes it too. Sometimes you will see a contrary line with Vegas because Vegas doesn't believe it in some capacity. They believe it. They certainly believe it. Which is
money also follows the Yankees.
Yes, and
people
it's a good
are going to
thing.
bet on the Yankees.
So I'm surprised how high it is. I guess. At this point, because I'm surprised any odds are that high. To be honest, those are I wouldn't make that bet. It's not great odds to place a bet, to be honest. But it's good. It's a good sign. It's a damn good sign. So I think that I'm surprised that they're actually not the highest for the World Series. I don't know why the Dodgers are higher than them right now.
I guess road to the World Series.
That's possible, but you still have to win it, right? You still have to win the World Series. That's the World Series winning.
Yeah, but you got to get to the World Series before you can win the World Series.
If we're looking at the odds here, then Vegas is saying that the Yankees will be there to play the Dodgers. So therefore, why are we
ipso facto?
Yeah, endo facto, Yankees will be playing said team in World Series.
These odds in the American League are interesting because you got in order of highest odds to lowest: Yankees, Astros, Blue Jays, Angels. Still, guys, still the Angels are there. White Sox, Rays, Twins, Red Sox, Guardians, Rangers. The league is so damn top heavy.
You know, the Tampa Rays, if you're looking for a bet, that's if you're looking for a bet and you're just trying to be a complete degenerate here, you got the American League pennant. They're plus 1,000 right now. You know, that's something that maybe you could throw a couple shekels down if you're not a Yankees fan. I wouldn't do it.
Yeah,
but it's an intriguing bet purely from an odds maker's point of view.
Out of any of those teams I listed, and I'm sorry, the Angels are not. The Angels have worse odds than the Rays and the White Sox. They're for some reason listed above them. Out of all those teams I listed, of the ones in the middle of the pack, the Rays are the only ones that you could actually foresee getting hot and winning in the playoffs. Like, I'm sorry, all those other teams, I'm not trusting to make the World Series.
You know, the Rays also, Wander Franco's been out for a while. I don't think he's going to be available for the series coming up here. Maybe the series after that potentially, but he's still,
because they play him next week too, the
right,
week after.
But he needs to ramp up for that to even happen, I think, because I don't even think he's doing baseball activities yet. They also got this Baz kid who's number one pitching prospect in baseball, who had a rocky start coming out, but he's potentially lines up for them the next time as well. They're adding more pieces to what this team is right now. And if the Yankees, give up any ground here, we kind of expect it. They have a ridiculous stretch coming up right now against Tampa and Toronto and Houston. And as we've been discussing, the schedule only gets harder. So you would expect there to be a little bit more of a level setting of a coming back to earth, maybe. That's it. If you're a fan of John Sterling, and that's baseball, Susan. That's what does happen in baseball usually. So unless this team is the 1998 New York Yankees, they will be coming back to earth a little bit. But maybe they are. Who knows?
Yeah, they even said it today that the Red Sox, are 21-10 in their last 31 games, and they've lost ground to the Yankees.
It's crazy.
So the Yankees have also have played unbelievable as well, and so. Like, to your point, the stretch is getting harder. We keep saying it. The stretch is getting harder. The Cubs were not one of those hard teams on the schedule, but overall the June schedule.
Thanks,
was hard,
Beltran. Thanks.
And it really starts with Tuesday against Tampa.
It does, and it's a gauntlet. I mean, I'm glad that they do have a day off going into the Tampa series, but it's a gauntlet. When you're playing the two division opponents, and then Houston, who's they've got a bunch of young kids out there, and they're playing good baseball. So it's gonna be a tough stretch.
All right. So again, if you guys want to check out the WynnBET app, you can download it today. Sign up, use code XBlueWire, and you get $50. You bet $50 and you win $200. Download, bet, win. All right. We got a couple of mailbags and some voicemails to wrap it up. We actually got something. You teased us on the last episode, Scott, from Steven about Britain's Tommy John. You wanna read that?
Yeah, so Steven I looks like a doctor. In his picture, he's wearing a lab coat. So he's gone. if this is a ruse, he's gone further than I have with taking pictures in lab coats and putting them on Twitter profiles. I haven't gone that far yet, but it seems like it definitely seems like he's in the sports medicine world. So I'm gonna read his message. It's very interesting about this sleeve. He says, guys, heard this week's pod. The sleeve for Britain's Tommy John is called the internal brace. It's basically a non-absorbable high-strength suture that can be used when there is enough ligament to repair partial or low-grade tear. It allows row repair of the native ligament and bracing, essentially like rebar, like reinforcement of the ligament with this super strong suture. There's really good data on it in high school and college kids, not as much with pro guys, but it's starting to become a popular option because in those early studies, and most are out of the Andrews Institute in Alabama by a guy named Jeff Dugas, who trained with Dr. James Andrews. They report a faster return to play of about 6 months, which is crazy. Once again, mostly high school throwers is what this data is based off of. And it's definitely a potential game changer, gaining a lot of traction and interest. So hopefully it gets back up sooner. Love the show. Let's go Yanks. So yeah, thanks, Steven. Thanks for writing in. That's really interesting. If they have this ability to suture and essentially put this reinforcement rebar, it's a good analogy to just make that stronger for people to come back. It's not a full tear. It's not a full Tommy John. That changes the game and the way that guys are. So if they have a low grade tear only out 6 months, I think more guys will definitely get a procedure like this if the data keeps coming back as positive. So I'm very interested to see how Britton comes back now, especially, understanding that he's gone through this new procedure.
I love how your research into if Steven's a doctor is profile picture. Good enough for me.
Yeah, it's a lab coat. It looks official. It looks official. Everything in that message sounded official. Backed it up with some research.
Yep.
Oh, he's a doctor.
Could have been taken off of some WebMD page, but we're not going to figure that out.
This guy,
so
he's a colleague.
Thank you, Steven.
He's in the game.
He's a colleague. John says, "Hey guys, just wanted to see your thoughts on Judge's arbitration hearing. I know it's supposed to be coming up in June. It's actually June 22nd. And I haven't heard a big deal being worked out before it. Do you guys think if it goes to a hearing that Judge will definitely walk in the offseason? Looking forward to hearing your thoughts. Let's go Yankees. Just wanted to thank you for doing the podcast. Great content that helps me stay up to date on the Yankees. Keep up the good work. So there's not going to be a big deal worked out before. We're not going to get a long-term contract for Judge out of this. We're going to probably get them settling on some number. I don't think it's going to go to a hearing. I think at this point the Yankees, if anything, will settle with him just so there's no distractions during this awesome, awesome season they're having.
You don't think that it's possible that they're working something out behind the scenes here, and then all of a sudden they announce this massive extension in the middle of the season, and then they go and go for the World Series with him on riding on this new contract? No, they're not. That seems like a fairy tale.
Fairy tale. I just don't see it happening. Yeah. I don't think they're gonna announce a contract in the middle of the season for him. I mean, after everything he said, I'm going to go to free agency if we don't get it done before opening day. I just don't see that happening.
So. Much ado about nothing here in the sense that I hope that it's very quiet. I hope this whole thing is very quiet and that it does get figured out behind the scenes without much to do about it. Definitely don't want a hearing. Don't want any of that nonsense. Don't want any of that. I don't want to hear from Levine. I don't want to hear from anybody else in the front office that usually rears their head in situations like this. This is not what I want. I want them to figure it out, and I would love for them to have a back end conversation about a larger deal, and this turns into that. But I don't disagree. I don't see that as a likely scenario, but at least you can have some good vibes going into the next negotiation.
So I heard someone on the inside with the Yankees DM me this, that they heard Randy Levine talking about how Judge's chambers are in right field, but he refuses to play right field.
Oh yeah, so it's a problem. It's a big problem. So they're gonna have to do something with. They're gonna have to do something with the center.
Randy Levine. It's like we built these Judge's chambers for him out there in right field, and he wants to play center. Like, he's so selfish.
What a bum. Yeah, how are they supposed to even do that? You can't have those the white and black in center field. You can't do it. It's illegal.
It's a distraction to the hitter.
Yeah. Do something with Mohegan Sun. Something's got to happen.
Yeah. Like, they're gonna, if Judge wants to move the Judge's chambers out to center field, but Randy Levine is gonna charge Judge for the day laborers to bring the box out there, and Judge doesn't want to pay for it.
And then they got to get all black garbs because you can't have the white in center field. So it's a problem. It's a logistical problem.
Yeah. Xander Sloan, he DM'd us a question. He says, do you guys still think MLB is screwing with the baseballs? Most games this year have actually felt pretty good, but every now and then I feel like I'm watching a juiced ball game, possibly a reaction to the 6 solo homers, but definitely not the first time I felt that way watching a game. A lot of people have said this at certain points throughout the year for a game. Juice ball game. Would it shock me if MLB is still screwing with the baseball? Hell no. Hell no, it wouldn't shock me.
So, last year we saw where they were using different balls, different days, you never knew what you're going to get on a given day. So you're saying that that's a possible scenario where they're just throwing in some extra different ones?
Of course it's a possible scenario. You don't think that's possible?
Oh, no, I have zero trust. Everybody, this is not the right way to say this, but everybody has zero trust in Major League Baseball and Rawlings to be very clear and talk about the way that they're using the baseballs in a truthful manner. It doesn't happen. It's a problem that will not go away unless that relationship is severed and no longer there. But that is the relationship. That is the case. So no, we will never get an honest answer from them at all until someone breaks the case and figures it out, or dissects a baseball and on a given day, or whatever they got to do. We'll never get a straight answer. So yeah, I expect them to screw with the baseballs.
The Athletic needs to publish another 97-page PDF about the insides of the baseball.
The cut section of the baseball. Yeah.
But we have had fewer pitchers talking about it. Still, some pitchers have talked about it, but fewer pitchers talking about it. And if there's one group of players that's gonna be the people to identify it, it's the pitchers. And so, I guess that would be some evidence to say they're not screwing with the baseballs.
I mean,
all right, the last one is
it doesn't feel like it though. For the eye test, I mean, I understand that there have been balls hit out on some days, but that happens with any baseball. It doesn't feel. My eye test is telling me that it doesn't feel like it's juiced.
I agree. Ben Zaretsky says, I'm not even a Yankees fan, Red Sox fan. I like your guys' podcast though, and just saying Cole might not be perfect, but last night convinced me the Yankees really could go all the way because the bats, picked them up like that. So he's talking about the last game in Minnesota. Ben says, Bill Simmons has this line that most powerful thing in sports is a team that, quote, no one believes in us. I'd put up there when an offense doesn't ever think they're out of the game, and New York definitely has that. I haven't followed Nestor as closely, but I'd be more concerned about his staying power than Cole's because Nestor's stuff feels more gimmicky, ? I haven't watched a whole Nestor game, whereas Cole's stuff seems really killer, but then yes, you do get a serious off day from him every now and again. Okay. I wanted to read this
reading
because
is hard.
Ben is a Red Sox fan who listens to our podcast. Ben, I have to break some news to you. You're a Yankees fan, okay? You just don't know it.
That's tough. Maybe he just likes the inside information and understanding what the fan bases are saying. He's just a big
Can you imagine?
Guy. No, I would never in a million years listen to a Red Sox podcast. Not even
to an hour-long Red Sox podcast.
No. I wouldn't be able to handle the way that they're talking, let alone what they're talking about.
Ben, thank you so much for listening. Seriously, if you do listen and whatever fan of whatever team you are, thank you so much for listening. Thank you to all the listeners out there. But if you're not a fan of the Yankees, how the frick do you listen to us? I just don't understand it.
That said, I mean, I think everybody in the league is probably got the same sentiment about this team when you look at them. They're waiting for the other shoe to drop with Nestor Cortez. There's no doubt. They're waiting for this, for him not to rebound. I think this start against McClanahan who's, clearly their number one guy going out there. You throw Nestor Cortez against Tampa. And if he comes out and pitches well, and they could possibly get a win against McClanahan, that's a big sign to me. That's a really strong move by Nestor. So I'm very interested to watch him pitch to see how he reacts after his first, shaky start of the season against a division foe. It's going to be an interesting game.
Well, not Nestor's first shaky start of the season. He has had a couple other shaky starts.
This is the
first one in a long time.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Thank you to everyone who submitted those mailbag questions. Again, you can do so on Twitter, like some people did. DM us at YankeesPodcast, or you can go to bronxpinstripes.com/podcast and you can submit the form there, or you can tweet Scott and I those mailbags. We got a couple voicemails that we're going to play to wrap up the show. Thank you so much for calling the voicemail line as well. 646-480-0342. I do not know yet if we're going to be recording a midweek episode. Maybe we will. That's how I'll leave it. Scott, any final words?
Another big series against Tampa. This is this tough stretch. We'll see how the Yankees react to this. But every test so far that has been thrown their way, they've been able to answer it and to give us a positive outcome. So very interested to see how this stretch works. I'm glad that they have a day off before it starts, though, because they needed that. A lot of baseball coming up for them after this day off.
All right, we'll talk to you guys in a couple days.